Hello and welcome to my podcast, Kaizen for Life. This is a space where we explore ideas, strategies, and tools that drive excellence in business and leadership. I'm your host, Luis Socconini, and today we have a very special guest. Joining us is Allan Dib, best-selling author of an international hit, The One-Page Marketing Plan. Allan is a highly skilled entrepreneur, business coach, and marketing expert who has helped countless businesses to create simple, powerful marketing strategies that deliver real results. In today's conversation, we'll drive you into how marketing can be practical, actionable, and even enjoyable. Whether if you are leading a startup, scaling a growing business, or driving transformation in an established organization. So get ready for an inspiring discussion with one of the world's most influential voices in the marketing strategy. Allan, it's an honor to have you in this show. Welcome.
Hey, Louise, thank you for having me. Very kind of you.
Of course, Allan. We want to know more about you. I want to share with my audience all your success stories, starting with a personal story and inspiration from you. So, Allan, can you tell us a little bit about you, your personal journey, and what led you to write the one-page marketing plan?
Yeah, so I started my business life as an IT consultant, and I just started a business because I thought, hey, I'm good at IT. Why don't I start an IT business? And of course, I learned very quickly that you need much more than IT skills just to run a successful business. So I had to learn business skills. I had to learn sales. I had to learn marketing. I had to learn all of these things, and that was a long and difficult journey for me at the time. So anyway, I spent about 10 years learning, implementing, growing the business, making all the mistakes, and I grew that business to be a large national business. We ended up exiting that business, and I sold it for more money than I'd ever seen in my life, which was a great achievement at the time. And then I started another business, which was in the telecommunications space. This business, because now I already had some business skills, I had some marketing, sales skills. I grew that business very, very quickly. So we grew that in 4 years. We were one of the top fastest growing companies in the country. And then I exited that one. And then I started consulting with people on marketing, helping other people with their marketing because that was a skill I had developed and something that I had overcome. And I wanted people to do a marketing plan, and I got a lot of pushback. People were feeling like it's too difficult, too hard, don't know where to start, have to hire a consultant. So I wrote I created a simple one-page marketing plan framework that they could use, and it worked very well. So a lot of clients got great results with it. So I wanted to get it to a wider audience, and so I wrote the book. And so the book is called The One Page Marketing Plan, this one here. And yeah, it's been very successful, sold 1 million books worldwide. And every day I hear from entrepreneurs who say it's helped them with their marketing as well. So it's a real privilege to be able to help the entrepreneurial community with their marketing.
Great, great journey. And I had the opportunity to learn about you and read your book, the one you published in Spanish. So
Yeah.
it was for me a before and after in terms of understanding marketing because you made it very simple to understand, very simple to use
Yeah.
in a totally different approach that any other approaches I knew at the time.
Yeah. Look, I wanted to make it simple because I didn't want people to have the same problems I had. Like when I was learning marketing, I would read a book. It would be either very long and complicated or very boring or not really relevant because it was written for big companies like, someone who's going to work in a marketing department in a big company and have a big team and all of this sort of thing. So at the time, there was not much really that covered that kind of thing. Now there's more, including my book, but still, at the time, there was nothing that really covered marketing from start to end for a small business that was really practical. And so I think that's why the book has been so successful because it is easy to follow, it is easy to understand, it is easy to implement, and we don't assume anything. So we start from the very start and go to the end.
Great. And Alan, at that time, what problem were you trying to solve when you created this framework?
I was trying to get people to who had never created a marketing plan in their business to be a bit more strategic, to have a plan so that they're not just doing random things. Because what I saw was most businesses just do random things. They have an idea, let's do a website, they do a website. Let's do social media. What do we post on social media? Let's try this, let's try that, or whatever. And they were kind of just doing random things. And whenever you do random things, you get random results, right? So just like, if you're going to build a house, you gonna put together a blueprint, a plan. Where are we going to put the lounge room? Where are we going to put the pool? Where's the kitchen going to be? How are we going to build it? How many levels is it going to be? So you build it before you build it. You plan it all out, and then and then after you build it. So that's how you do something in a way that you're going to get a predictable result. So I wanted to do something similar from a marketing perspective is how can we get predictable results? And for most businesses, the predictable results that they want is more revenue, more clients, more profit. And so a plan is where we start because we want good predictable results rather than random results.
Great, great. Well, yes, that's a very, very interesting and important point because most of the strategies I have seen in different companies are, like you said, are random. Like, let's try
Yeah.
everything and let's see what makes good results. But yes,
Yes.
that's great. So, Alan, if you look back, what was the turning point that made you realize traditional marketing approaches weren't working anymore?
Yeah, so I wrote a second book called Lean Marketing. And the reason I wrote that book was because I kept seeing people saying, you have to do more, you have to spend more, you have to do more complex stuff. And it's always more, more, more. And what I saw in the marketplace and was doing myself with us and our own clients is the people who were doing the best at marketing were doing a lean approach to marketing, meaning they were doing only a few things, but they were doing them very well. And they had marketing completely integrated in the whole customer journey, right? A lot of people, they have marketing kind of just like at the end. They build a product, they manufacture it, or they decide they want to launch a new kind of service or whatever. And then in the end, they're like, all right, we now need to find some clients who will buy this. And then they try random things and get random results. So what we want to do is from the beginning integrate marketing into the whole customer life cycle. So we want to start with who wants this. So in lean there's that important concept called pull, right? Customer pull,
Mhm.
right? We want to deliver what a customer actually demands rather than create something and then hope that someone will buy it. So uh, the best companies in the world are doing marketing in a very lean way, meaning they're integrating it completely throughout. They're doing a few things, but very, very well.
Right. Right. So I wanted to tell our audience how we interact in this world where I had the
Sure.
opportunity to meet you. So when I wrote this book about Lean Company, this is a systematic approach to Lean with all the functions in any organization. I dedicated one chapter for every process. So marketing is one of those chapters, and giving some conferences around the world. That's where I met Alan in Mexico. He was the keynote in one of these conferences where he was presenting his book. So, and after listening Alan's conference, at the end, I have Alan sitting next to me, and so I say, Alan, what you just presented, I will say that's lean marketing. So
Yeah.
for me, that was a great contribution for future talks and training experiences. So now that we are talking about lean marketing, what do you think? What was the turning point, or how did you find the opportunity to write lean marketing?
Yeah, well, when you said the words lean marketing, that was really the first time I ever heard that phrase. And I thought, I didn't immediately connect, but later, I thought about it a lot, and it was something that was uh, really connected with the way that we do things and the way that we connect with um, clients from a marketing approach. So yeah, you were an important inspiration in the journey and me coming up with the idea for lean marketing. So I really appreciate that, Luis, and yeah, just taking the ideas of lean and applying them to marketing, I think is a very, very powerful concept because we've seen lean be really powerful in manufacturing, in services, in medical, in many different spaces. And I think marketing world is often very wasteful. Like you just do spend a lot of money or spend a lot of time, spend a lot of resources, and sometimes get no result or minimal result. So that's what I wanted to kind of eliminate is improve the efficiency of marketing and improve the results that you get from a marketing perspective.
Yeah, that's very interesting. I like the way you put it that in terms of the 20/80 rule, where you mentioned that 20% of your efforts will give you 80% of your
Yeah.
outputs. So in terms of marketing, if you double click to that percentage, you say, well, maybe 20 times 20. So 4% of your efforts, that will be your
Mm.
marketing strategy, will give you 80 times 80, 64%. So 4% of your effort, that means marketing, will give
Yeah.
you 64% of your outputs. So no matter if you are good in your service, you are the best in your service or your product that you manufacture, if you are not good promoting, showing the world how good is your product or service, it's worthless.
That's so true. So it's a mentor once told me it's the best marketer wins every time. It's not the best product or best service that wins every time. It's the best marketing that wins every time. And that to me was something that was very, very new. And uh, I was quite surprised by that and frustrated by that because I thought, well, I've got a great service. Why isn't people buying from me? Well, it's because my marketing wasn't very good. So it's not the best product, not the best service that wins. It's the best marketing that wins every single time.
Exactly. Yeah, that's very, very interesting. Alan, in your book, you emphasize simplicity and focus. I would say that lean, in some way to define it, is speed with quality. So, in other words, you are getting rid of any waste and noise that is around marketing. But how would you define lean marketing, and how would you put this lean marketing strategy in place? Maybe in some steps, simple steps that will be very useful in this noisy business environment.
Yeah. So, one of the first things we do when we start working with any business in our accelerator program is we start to, very similar to what you said before, the 80/20 and then the 64/4. What are the few things that are going to get the biggest results for us? Because every bit, like I was talking to a business owner today, and he says, I have a list of 140 different marketing ideas, and he has two people in his marketing department. And so there's a resource mismatch. And so what we need to do is figure out, okay, what's the 80/20, and then of the 80/20, what's the 64/4? What's the 4% that's going to give us the 64% of results? So, and we take the list and we divide it into things that we do immediately, things that we do maybe this quarter or next quarter, and then things that we just put in the parking lot and that we say these are good ideas, but not right now. So we'll implement them down the track. So that's part of the process in the beginning is to really identify what are the things that are really going to make the biggest difference and start working on those first. And like I said, take a really lean approach. We don't want to do everything badly. We want to do a few things really, really well.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's very interesting. And how do you think entrepreneurs can avoid or executives can avoid wasting resources on ineffective marketing?
So again, taking a very similar approach to that's taken in lean. We test, we measure, we see the result, and then we integrate. Kaizen, right? So we want continuous improvement. So we want to test something, we want to try it, we want to improve it. So to use the idea from Atomic Habits, it's like, let's get 1% better every day. You know,
Mhm.
if we can get 1% better every day, then we'll have a massive improvement.
Right. Yes. The miracle of the compound,
Yeah,
uh, right?
yeah,
Yeah, that's
that's
very
exactly
interesting.
right.
Alan, tell us a little bit more about the accelerator. How do you help your clients
Hmm.
to accelerate the results? Of
Yep.
course, right now, a lot of companies, a lot of entrepreneurs are worried about what's going to happen in the future with this changing world. Uh,
Yep.
so, how the accelerator works for them? How are you using different tools? I had the opportunity to be with you in San Diego, where we hosted
Yeah.
together a workshop, very interesting workshop.
Yeah.
It was like a taste of how do you help your clients in this accelerator. So tell us a little bit more about this accelerator. How does it work? How can you help different businesses?
Yeah, so the whole idea of the accelerator is to help people implement faster, easier, cheaper without so much trial and error. So, and exactly as the name implies, it's so that we can go faster and not guess because it's difficult when you haven't built a marketing department before. It's difficult to know who to hire, what should you start working on first, how do you work with messaging. And also, it's not only just difficult, but it's very difficult often from an inside perspective to see your own things because you see it every day.
Mhm.
So maybe you've got a message that you understand, but someone brand new who's never seen your product or never seen your service or whatever maybe is not understanding your message as well as you think. So having an outside person's perspective can be very, very powerful. So we work with clients on really selecting their target market well, getting their message put together in a way that their customers understand in a very simple way. Because I often say clarity is much more is better than confusion or better than cleverness, right? A lot of
Mhm.
people try to be clever with their messaging, but often they end up being confusing with their messaging. So, a large part of what we want to do is figure out how do we be clear with our message and create a message that excites the prospect to move forward, to buy, to take the whatever next action that you want them to take.
Great. Yeah, I know sometimes it's well, it's simple, but sometimes it's hard to provide these ideas, or sometimes it's hard to make those ideas to work. So in this case, how do you manage change or resistance to change? Because that happens in every environment. Even what we work with different clients, even though this is very simple, straightforward, but and it's very well known right now, not like in 26 years ago where we started Lean Six Sigma Institute. Nobody knew about that, but now it's a
Yeah,
little more known. Now some universities are teaching based on your books. Even Lean
yeah,
Six Sigma Institute is teaching based on your books. So,
yeah.
but anyways, there is some resistance to change. So, what's your advice about managing this change in this?
Yeah. One of the things we do in the accelerator is what we call a minimum viable marketing system. So it's like, what's the minimum thing that we need to do to get a positive change? So often, and you're right, in big organizations or even in medium-sized organizations, it's very difficult to get everybody on board, to get everyone agreeing, to get everyone moving, to make a lot of changes because there's a lot of products, a lot of services, all of that sort of thing. So, what's the minimum viable marketing system that we can
Mhm.
implement that will make a positive change? So, we have a four-step process that takes people from planning to implementation to scaling and then beyond, and really tracking metrics. So it's the minimum viable marketing system that someone needs to to get a good result and see progress forward. Then once we've got the minimum, and we've got something that we can prove works, then we can expand it, we can add to it, we can spend more budget, we can do all of those sorts of things.
Oh, yeah, that's very, very interesting. Yes, and I know you are a tech expert besides marketing expert. So, in the opportunity I had to be in your workshop in San Diego,
Yep.
California, I saw I never stopped surprising how much you're evolving. So, but something that really catch my attention is how are you using technology like
Mhm.
AI, robots for CRMs and so on. So,
Yep.
can you tell us a little bit about this relationship that you are putting in this concept, in this framework, on how technology is making a breakthrough to improve, of course, the whole company, but especially marketing?
Yeah. Well, a while ago, I mean, some time ago, the people who won at marketing were the people who were technically very good at it. So they were good at maybe SEO or pay-per-click ads or graphic design or video editing or whatever. And these things have now become much easier than they were. So they're not the competitive advantage that they once were for a lot of people. So now the things that are really going to make the difference is more your messaging, your offer, the target market that you're working with, all of those fundamental things rather than the technical things. So more and more, just like when computers came out, we started using computers because they're faster, more efficient, get more things done. Then we had the internet, so now we can communicate with each other. We can send files. We can do commerce over the internet. All of those sorts of things. Then we got mobile technology, and so now we can do things away from desktops. We can do it on the go. We've got a phone. Everyone's got a phone on the and the internet on their person all of the time. And now we're really moving into the age of AI, where intelligence and access to knowledge and access to um, creative software is now democratized as well, where everybody's got access to those sorts of things. So we want to keep moving where technology gives us an advantage. And so the advantage that it gives us is leverage. And leverage means we get greater output from less input. So we do more with less, very much around the idea of lean, right? We get more, but from less because we use a technology tool or a technology process or something that will give us leverage and will help us to do more with less.
Right. I remember when we were your clients, you divided your strategy, your service in like in three steps: the strategy, the
Yep.
framework,
Yep.
and
Yep.
then you have the tools, and then you have
Yep.
the outputs. So some way to measure results. Can you give
Yeah.
us a small tour in the tools that you normally use? Of course, you are always looking for different tools, new tools. Now I saw ChatGPT and the way you develop these prompts that are so amazing. It's not just asking, but how you ask. But you always have your toolbox, right? So can you
Yeah.
give us just an idea on what's the minimum toolbox that every company should consider at this time?
Yeah, at the very minimum, you need something like a CRM system. A CRM is a customer relationship management system. So, how are you going to collect customer data? How are you going to store it? What are you going to do with it? How are you going to track? How are you going to send emails and communications and things like that? So, that's really the minimum. And so, a lot you need a way that you're going to manage all of that data and customers and prospects and see pipelines and things like that. So that's a super important tool. We already talked about AI tools, but now being able to respond faster, do things cheaper, better, easier using AI tools. And so some AI tools are like large language models like ChatGPT, others are like video editing tools, things like Descript. Others are research tools, maybe. So, like something like Perplexity. So, there's different classes of tools out there that can really help you do more with less. And that's really what we want to do from a lean marketing perspective is how do we do more with less and what tools can help us do that?
Right. Yeah, very interesting. And the toolbox and in terms of the outputs, I mean the indicators, what are the key indicators that you will consider to measure a successful marketing strategy?
Well, the ultimate measure is did it make us more money than it cost us? So that's really
Exactly.
the ultimate measure. Now, in troubleshooting a campaign, you might use a lot of different measures. You might use things like click-through rates, opt-in rates, bounce rates, and things like that. But these are just tools to help us troubleshoot. Really, the main measure that you want from a marketing perspective is what's our return on investment? We spent this much money, and how much did we get back?
Right. I remember something you taught me about that. You said that maybe this is the art of making $2 with $1
Exactly.
or more, of course, right? The
Yeah,
return
or more.
on
Yeah.
investment. So that's very interesting point of view. I think that's a totally different approach on the way we see things in marketing. And wanted to ask you also, Alan, how do you make the fusion between the first and the second book, the one page marketing plan framework with lean marketing to make the next generation of lean strategies and outputs from effective marketing?
Yeah. So the first book is all about strategy, all about let's put a plan together. The second book is all about implementation. Great, you've got a plan. Now let's implement that plan. So just like we talked about earlier, if you're building a house, you start with the plan, the blueprint, everything like that. And then once you've got the blueprint, great, we can now dig the foundation. We can lay bricks. We can do all the work that we need to do. So we need both. We need both strategy and tactics to get things done. And so that's how the books really go hand in hand. The first book is all about strategy. Second book is all about, okay, we've got strategy. Now let's implement.
Okay, very interesting way to see it. There's something totally changed my mindset about not only marketing but also my business. So, and this is with something you taught me from the first book, and this is about how we conceive our businesses. So, in the past, I used to say we have a training business and coaching business, but after that, I learned something from you that you say, well, no matter what you do, no matter what business or industry you are, in any case, we are a marketing company that happens that we sell training and coaching for Lean Six Sigma. So that concept totally changes everything, especially in the mindset of a CEO of a entrepreneur that is willing to be successful in this environment. So what was the approach, or how do you find this approach for business leaders?
Yeah, so very much as you said, I think that's something very, very important is to think of yourself as a marketer rather than a technician of whatever you do. So you might be an accountant, a lawyer, a doctor, or whatever, and those are your technical skills. But if you're running a business in that space, you're a marketer of those things. So that's a very, very different mindset. And that was a big mindset shift for me when I was in the IT business and I was first learning marketing, where when my mentor said, "No one knows how good you are until people buy from you. Before they buy, they only know how good your marketing is." And so that's what led me to really try and learn marketing and learn it at a deep level because it was clear to me that being technically good at what I did, that's great, but that's not going to help me get clients.
Of course. Yeah. We are talking all about marketing in organizations and businesses to make them more successful. Uh, Tell us a little bit, how can we apply these concepts in the professional life? So of course we have a value to offer to our companies or people or students, even students that are about to finish their careers. How can they use your concepts to promote themselves, like a marketer, where they need to express their values, their knowledge, how much they are willing to help different companies? What will be the difference?
Yeah, so I think now a big opportunity for many people is personal brand, right?
Exactly.
So a lot of in the past, it was all about business brand, and business brand is still important, but now there's an opportunity for people who run small businesses, especially, but even larger businesses, to work on their personal brand, to be the face of the business, because people follow people, not businesses or organizations. So, and we see this with, at a large scale with people like Elon Musk or Richard Branson or Steve Jobs in the past. So they were like really the face of the business. And we see that now also with smaller influencers and smaller businesses. So there's an opportunity you're missing if you're not working as a personal brand and thinking of yourself as a personal brand. So creating content like we're doing now, writing books, creating authority. So those are things that will really help you build your own personal brand, and they create a lot of opportunities. I got invited to speak at that event where you were at, and I met you, and I met other people, and I get invited to speak at events, and I get invited on podcasts, and people want to join our accelerator program, all because I've built this personal brand. And so, a lot of opportunities come to you when you do that. So, I think that's something that most people who are running a business right now, or even working in an organization, is a very, very powerful thing that you can be doing now.
Right. Yeah, to increase personal value, right? And,
Yes.
and right now, leadership is shaping the way organizations grow. I can think that we have great companies. Well, we have a lot of good companies because they have very good leaders. But there are not enough great companies because there are not great leaderships or great leaders. Right now, I'm talking about transformational leadership. So, Alan, in your view, what's the role of a CEO or a senior leader? What kind of role they play in shaping a marketing culture?
Yeah, the role of of a CEO is really the chief unblocking officer. So
Mm,
where every business is constrained or blocked somewhere. Maybe
right.
it's in marketing, maybe it's in sales, maybe it's in service delivery, maybe it's in customer service. There's something blocking you from growing.
Mhm.
And so the role of the CEO is to figure out where that is and work on unblocking it. So you might work on unblock. Maybe you're not getting orders out fast enough, and so your focus needs to be on delivery. How do we get the orders out faster? Once you fix that, then you might find, okay, our constraint now is actually lead flow, where we're getting everything out on time, but we're just not getting enough leads. And so in that case, you would focus on your marketing, or maybe sales conversion. We're getting lots of leads, but we're not converting enough leads. So at every stage, there's your business is constrained somewhere, and so the role of the leadership team is to figure out where that constraint is and then unblock that.
Right. Recently one of my daughters asked me, "What is CEO?" And I say, "Well, CEO is a Chief Everything Officer, so we need
Yeah.
to know a little bit of everything." But
Yes.
basically, I think one of the most important roles for a leader or CEO is to develop great teams, and that's something you mentioned and you explain in very good detail in your books.
Yeah.
So, for you, what does a high-performing lean marketing team look like?
Yeah, I call it people who come with batteries included, right? Because
That's good.
if someone I have to motivate them, threaten them, watch over them, micromanage them, that's an expensive employee because even if I'm not paying them much, because it's taking up my time, my energy, it's slowing my organization down. I want to work with people who just manage themselves, who work unsupervised, who can just deliver on the vision. And so I refuse to work with B and C players. I have to work with A players only because it's going to slow my organization down. It's going to demoralize other people. It's going to just add weight. So, I think of it like a race car. Like if the race car is light, we can go fast. If it's heavy, it's harder. It's harder to get going. It's harder to brake. It's harder to stop. It's harder to turn. So, from that perspective, you really want an organization that's light and fast and just get things done.
Right. Yeah. Alan, in terms of trends and future outlook, where do you see the future of lean marketing for the next 5 years? Is there any design or redesign that you are planning to do with your one-page marketing plan or lean marketing in the AI era? Is there something you want to add or change, or what do you see in the next 5 years in terms of lean
Yeah.
marketing?
I think, like I said earlier, we're early in the personal brand stage. So I think of personal brand right now the way I thought about SEO in maybe 2008. So we're early and there's going to be big opportunities, and there's the people who catch those opportunities early will do really, really well. So personal brand is really, really important. And then with AI, like I said, the technical aspects are becoming much easier. So the people who are going to win are people who have really strong messaging, who have really strong ideas, who have really strong cut through with their marketing. And so that's something that's going to become much, much more important.
Okay, perfect. Very, very interesting. Well, we already talked about strategies, tools, habits, practices. Now, is there any marketing myth that you love to bust once and for all?
There are many, but a lot. The probably the one that comes up the most is people who say, marketing doesn't work in my industry, or it doesn't work in my business, or I tried it before, it doesn't work. And um, I've never seen that to be true, because if we look in your industry, there's someone who's doing really well and someone who's marketing effectively. So it might be true to say you tried it and it didn't work, or maybe there was something that didn't work for you, or whatever, that needed adjustment or whatever. But um, it would be. I think that's a that's a myth that comes up a lot. Is that, hey, marketing just doesn't work for me.
Right. Yeah, I think sometimes universities are causing these kind of problems because it's like they are teaching specialists in different fields, but they are not learning together. I mean, you can study finance or business or engineering, but you never talk about or learn about marketing. So that's something like a myth, but now that everybody comes together in a company, an organization, now everybody needs to know at least what's the most important thing to know about the different fields or functions that makes the connection for all together. So that's why in my book I put a puzzle piece, because marketing is a very critical puzzle piece, and every function, every activity needs to connect with each other in a systemic approach. So yeah, that's something that I will say that's important in the future of education, and that's a great opportunity for universities, right? I know that some of your books right now are in some of the universities around the world. Can you
Yeah.
tell us a little bit about that? I think students now are learning in a different positive way. Your thoughts, your books. So
Yeah. Quite honestly, that wasn't something that was intentional. We just started hearing from professors saying, "Hey, we're using your book in our class because we wanted a practical book for our entrepreneurship class or our marketing class or whatever." So, and yeah, it just happened, and I think there's now maybe 20 or more different universities using the book, which is really, really cool. So I love to hear from professors and students who are using the book in their classes, and uh, they're using it because it's very easy to read, it's very practical, and it's easy to follow, and it's kind of not boring like a normal textbook. Textbooks usually are quite boring.
Right, exactly. By the way, I'm one of your professors in different. I teach in different universities in the United States, here in Europe, Mexico, and Latin America. In the next months, I'm going to start teaching in Asia. So right now, I can tell you it's a different, total different approach for me. Teaching something that you taught me from your books, from your coaching services. So, and I really thank you for that. And also in Lean Six Sigma, we are using your knowledge to teach more about what you are showing to the world. So, Alan, just to finish a couple of last questions, if you could go back in the beginning of your career, what will be a marketing advice you will give to yourself at that time?
Marketing advice I'd give to myself at the time is to really focus down on a very specific niche. You know, I was trying to be too wide. I was trying to help too many people because you see an opportunity, yes, we'll go for that. You see another opportunity there, and then you end up doing a lot of custom kind of work, which is okay in the beginning, but the more I've focused, the more I've reduced products, the more I've stripped things down and made them more simple, the better the business has done. So, being very, very focused on a very small target market with a very specific offer is super, super powerful.
So you focus on a specific instead of trying to take
Yes.
every opportunity in random,
Yes.
right?
Exactly.
And finally, Alan, how can our listeners connect with you and learn more about your work, your books, your services?
Yeah. We're at leanmarketing.com. The book is the one-page marketing plan and lean marketing, available on Amazon. And a lot of people like to listen to it on audio as well on audible.com. So, yeah, that's where we can connect.
That's great. Well, Alan, it's been a pleasure talking to you. I don't know if you want to end with a final message to our audience. And
Yeah, my final message is become a really good marketer because everything changes for you. The best marketer wins every time. So you want to become a really good marketer of whatever you do.
great, great closing. Well, it's been a pleasure again, Alan. It's always great to talk to you. It's always great to learn from you, and we'll be in touch. I'm very happy to be your friend, to be close to you, and you know, Lean Six Sigma is part of you, so it's a pleasure to connect again with you.
Thank you. Thank you, Luis. It's very kind of you. And I really value our friendship as well. Thank you.
Of course, thank you, Alan.